Hi, I'm Patrick Hageman from Chiron Applied Health and Performance. Today I wanted to just kind of introduce myself, give some perspective on the journey that I've gone through in terms of my own health and wellness relationship. And then from there kind of talk about how it's informed the way that we now shape our training. So just so that you can go back, a little bit of background on me and kind of get an understanding of where I'm coming from. I was actually educated as a mechanical engineer. I've been a BMX rider for the last 20 plus years, and I will say that 99% of my activity between 14 and 20 was BMX. Like, I would maybe exercise during the winter just so I wouldn't lose my mind. I played volleyball, I wrestled, but I quit all of that to just ride BMX all the time because that's all I could think about. So throughout my whole childhood, I had kind of never developed a great relationship with food. And so over the years, my weight just kind of slowly, gradually ticked up. So I was like 140 pounds my freshman year in high school at like 5 feet tall. And then by the time I graduated high school, I was around 190 pounds, a little bit short of 6 feet. I didn't have any perspective or activity that I drove at specifically to address it. I didn't do anything about it, I just felt those feelings. So going through college, again, I continued to just progressively gain weight. I was drinking and hanging out and doing all the fun stuff, eating dorm food, eating Giordano's pizza whenever I felt like it or could afford it. And it just didn't really, like, I would work out, but only during the winter if I couldn't go ride. So when I got my first job out of college, I am so stressed out. This is my first time being a mechanical engineer. I'm a professional, and I'm expected to give all this expert advice on things I knew nothing about. And I was commuting 70 miles a day. I was eating the typical break room food, bagels and donuts and all of those things that you typically have access to at a desk job. And at 25 years old, I was 240 pounds, and my wife goes, "Hey, for your birthday, I got you some sessions with a personal trainer. I got you a gym membership. I don't want you to think anything of it. Just know that this is something I'd love for you to try." I had a wonderful trainer. He taught me a lot of different things, and I learned to deadlift, and I learned to use some more of the machines at the gym. I learned the basics of doing cardio. I even learned how to juggle kettlebells, which I then dropped on the floor and almost broke at this really nice Lifetime because I did it on the wood floor, not thinking anything of it. So that ended the kettlebell juggling. I slowly started to tick down in weight. I got to around 220 pounds, but the thing that changed the most for me was that instead of sitting in 2 hours of traffic for a commute, I would go straight to the gym as soon as I got off work at 5. And I kind of did it to kill time, but I also really started to get into the habit of enjoying going to the gym. I was still drinking, I was still not doing a lot of the lifestyle things. I would obsess over maybe the wrong things, and then make sure I was like drinking kombucha and eating kale chips after every workout because that's what they had at the cafe. So all these perceptions of what being a healthy person was. And I still kind of like, well, I work out now, so I have room to drink. I have room to go out and eat and not sleep and be stressed all the time. And it wasn't until I got really heavy into calisthenics that I started to really get hooked. And I had started a new job. I wasn't quite as stressed. I was more active. I was walking around the manufacturing facility all day. And I started getting obsessed with the idea of doing pull-ups. And at 210 pounds, I did my first pull-up, probably in my life successfully, without any sort of assistance. And I still get nervous going up to a pull-up bar. Like, I still get this feeling of like the presidential physical fitness test, where I look up at the bar and I'm like, I know I can do this, but I still feel nervous. So fast forwarding a little bit, I started to lose weight more consistently. I was going to the gym really regularly. I would get up first thing in the morning. I would usually do something cool that I found on Instagram, or some sort of daily challenge of, like, clapping push-ups or Superman push-ups or banded muscle-ups and all these different things. The one thing I will tell you from doing all of the calisthenics stuff, I didn't do a lot of lower body. every once in a while I would jump on the leg press, or I would do like pistol squats or something. But other than that, I was just doing like kind of Tabata style intensity workouts. But most of it is what I found on Instagram. I went full force into all the cool things that you could do on Instagram, the handstands, the human flags, all the tricks, which I realized probably 6 years later that I was kind of using it as a substitute for BMX because I wasn't able to ride as much because I was working out, or I was working a lot, and I would just go to the gym first thing in the morning before I would go to work. So progressively, my weight's ticking down. I'm getting more and more serious about fitness. My relationship with food has only started to change at this point, but I took it really far, really fast from that point where I really got heavy into calisthenics, and I kind of started just really drastically under eating. I was logging every single bite of food I was taking. I had like photo journal apps, and I had like traditional like MyFitnessPal style food logging. I bought a food scale. I like went really heavy into it. Through my calisthenics journey, I had met two amazing mentors. One who had gone from corporate to fully independent, one who had gone corporate to like a big box gym. And one of them, Gideon Akande, was doing this test panel for Men's Health for his video series. Rip Tensity was the name of the video series. So during that period of time, I actually got to be an assistant coach on that test panel as well as a participant in the classes. So my day consisted of getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I would go to the gym before work. I would work all day, sometimes go to the gym in the middle of the day because it was getting to a point where I wasn't exactly happy with my job. So I would get out whenever I could. And then after work, I would go down into the city and I would teach this class or help assist teaching this class and running kind of stuff with Gideon. So I was probably working out for a good 3 hours a day on the high end and 2 to 2.5 hours a day on the low end. So still a lot. Through that time, and I was still like, you know, really, really specific in logging every single bite of food I took. I stopped drinking alcohol during that time because I was trying to get as lean as physically possible. So when I finally decided to quit being a mechanical engineer, the quality manager of a manufacturing company, my wife was like, hey, if you're really this miserable in what you're doing most of your day, I had already started training clients at this point, so she's like, just go for it. Quit. We don't have a house. We don't have kids. Do it. So I quit my job. I had no backup. I had no plan, but I knew I could work out, and I really wanted to teach other people to work out too. I was obsessed with the idea of becoming an elite coach for the World Calisthenics Organization. Unfortunately, that led to me getting quite a few injuries, just trying to overtrain everything to try to get to some of the bigger movements that I needed to be able to do. But by the time I realized how far down I had gotten and I was starting this new job, I was about 179 pounds. And so down from 240. I look at those pictures now and I realize how sunken my cheeks were, how like dark the circles were around my eyes, and just realizing I wasn't actually that healthy. I was ripped. I still didn't actually recognize that I was ripped, but I was ripped. And I looked at these things and I'm just like, wow, like this is intense. Like I've gone really, really far on this. So when fitness became my life completely, I started eating a little bit more, and slowly through all of the habit stuff that I had learned with Equinox, starting to get better at eating a little bit more consistently, at least of the things that were better for me. But I was still on my feet 16 hours a day. I was working out regularly. I was pushing a lot of intensity whenever I could. And so my weight slowly kind of ticked up because I was getting a little bit better at eating.